In the middle of the Czech countryside stands a cathedral that was never completed. The walls rise high above the ground, their stone arches reaching upward, but the roof was never built. No stained glass windows were installed. No bells were ever hung in a tower. This is Panenský Týnec, the unfinished Gothic cathedral. For more than 600 years, it has remained a ruin, but far from being forgotten, it has become famous for something unusual. Visitors claim that simply standing inside the cathedral can bring calm, relieve stress, and even help heal illness. Researchers say the site sits on powerful energy lines that form a cross beneath the ruins. Is it just suggestion and belief? Or is there truly something hidden in the stones of Panenský Týnec? The story begins in the early 14th century. At that time, the lands of Bohemia, now part of the Czech Republic, were flourishing. The region was wealthy, strategically placed in Central Europe, and deeply influenced by Gothic architecture. Across Europe, great cathedrals were rising. Paris had Notre Dame. Cologne was constructing its vast cathedral. Prague was beginning St. Vitus, a project that would take centuries. In Panenský Týnec, a noble family known as the Slavatové decided to sponsor a grand new monastery for Cistercian nuns. Attached to it, they wanted to build a church that would reflect both faith and prestige. The plan was ambitious. A three-aisle Gothic church, complete with soaring walls, ribbed vaults, and colorful stained glass. From the start, it was designed not just as a place of worship, but as a lasting symbol of influence. Construction began in the mid-13th century. Masons quarried sandstone. Foundations were laid. Walls began to rise. The sound of chisels and hammers filled the fields around Panenský Týnec. For the villagers, the sight of a grand cathedral slowly taking shape must have been extraordinary, but suddenly, it all came to an end. The exact reason the cathedral was abandoned remains uncertain. Several theories compete. One explanation is financial collapse. Building a Gothic church was one of the most expensive projects of the Middle Ages. It required masons, glassmakers, sculptors, carpenters, and endless supplies of stone. If the sponsoring family lost wealth or political power, funding may have disappeared overnight. Another theory points to war. The 14th century was turbulent in Central Europe. Armies moved across the land. Raids, conflicts, and political instability could have brought construction to a halt. And then there is disease. In 1347, the Black Death reached Europe. It swept through towns and villages, killing nearly half the population. Skilled workers vanished. Whole communities collapsed. Many building projects across Europe were abandoned forever during this time. Whatever the cause, construction at Panenský Týnec stopped abruptly. The walls that had been raised remained standing, but the roof was never completed. The arches that were meant to hold stained glass were left empty. For centuries afterward, the cathedral remained an incomplete shell. Unlike other abandoned sites that crumbled into ruin, Panenský Týnec survived in remarkable condition. The main walls still rise several meters high. The floor plan is still visible. Pillars and buttresses still show the outline of what would have been a large and impressive church. But the structure has always been incomplete. No roof, no windows, no altar, no finished nave. For hundreds of years, the ruin stood open to wind, rain, and sun. Grass grew where worshippers should have knelt. Birds nested in the arches. Locals passed by on their way to fields. And yet, despite its abandonment, Panenský Týnec never completely lost its significance. By the modern era, stories began to circulate that something unusual happened inside the ruins. Visitors reported a sudden sense of calm when stepping through the walls. Headaches seemed to fade. Feelings of sadness or depression lifted. Some people spoke of warmth spreading through their body. The more people shared their experiences, the more Panenský Týnec gained a reputation as a place of positive energy. Soon, researchers in the field of dowsing and psychotronics came to investigate. One of the most prominent was Stanislav Brazda, a Czech psychotronic researcher. Using dowsing rods, he claimed to detect two powerful lines of energy crossing beneath the cathedral. According to him, these lines intersect in the shape of a cross, right in the area where the main altar was meant to stand. This invisible cross is said to be the heart of Panenský Týnec's power. Visitors who stand at its center often report the strongest sensations: tingling, warmth, or a sudden sense of balance. Believers say the cross is a natural formation of Earth's energy lines, magnified by the placement of the cathedral. To them, it explains why the site was chosen in the first place. Medieval builders often aligned churches with sacred spots. Skeptics argue differently. They say there is no scientific evidence for energy lines, and that feelings reported inside the ruins are psychological, created by expectation and suggestion. But the cross of energy remains the central mystery of Panenský Týnec. Accounts from visitors continue to fuel the legend. People suffering from depression speak of leaving with a lighter mood. Those with chronic migraines claim relief after standing at the altar point. Some recovering from illness believe the site improved their recovery. These testimonies are personal and not scientifically verified, but they are consistent enough to keep the reputation alive. Psychologists explain it through the placebo effect. If you believe a place has healing energy, your brain and body may genuinely respond. Stress hormones decrease, pain perception shifts, mood improves. But believers ask a simple question: if people feel better after visiting, does it matter whether the cause is energy or belief? The setting itself plays a role. Standing inside Panenský Týnec is unlike standing anywhere else. Tall Gothic walls rise around you, but above is only the open sky. The structure is both grand and incomplete. It feels ancient, vast, and strangely exposed. Light pours in from all directions. The wind moves freely through the stone arches. The acoustics carry every sound. Psychologists argue that such an environment can deeply affect human emotions. The sheer scale inspires awe, while the openness creates a sense of freedom. Combined, they may trigger powerful psychological responses that feel like physical change. Panenský Týnec is not alone in its reputation. Around the world, certain sites are believed to hold healing or spiritual energy. In France, the spring at Lourdes is visited by millions seeking miraculous cures. In England, Stonehenge is linked with mystical energy and ancient rituals. In Arizona, Sedona is famous for its vortexes, where people report feelings of clarity and renewal. In India, sacred temples are said to align with cosmic forces that influence human health. Each of these places attracts both believers and skeptics. Some claim transformation. Others say it is imagination. Panenský Týnec fits directly into this pattern, a European counterpart to a global phenomenon. Today, the unfinished cathedral is far from abandoned. Couples choose it for weddings, drawn by both its beauty and its reputation. Artists and filmmakers use it as a dramatic backdrop. Tourists come from across Europe and beyond, curious to experience the healing energy for themselves. The site has become one of the most visited ruins in Czechia. Local guides speak openly about the energy zones. Visitors step carefully to the center of the ruins and stand in silence, waiting to feel something. Scientists who have studied Panenský Týnec find no measurable radiation, no unusual magnetism, and no physical explanation for the claims. To them, it is psychology, not physics. But this does not stop the flow of visitors. For many, personal experience outweighs scientific measurement. If standing inside the ruins feels healing, then for them, it is healing. This tension between science and belief is part of what makes Panenský Týnec so compelling. It mirrors a larger human question. How much of our experience is shaped by the world itself, and how much by our own expectations? The unfinished cathedral of Panenský Týnec is a paradox. It is a monument to failure, a grand project abandoned centuries ago, but it is also a monument to hope, a place where people continue to seek peace, strength, and healing. Why was it left incomplete? Historians can only guess. Is the healing energy real? Science remains unconvinced. But perhaps the real significance of Panenský Týnec lies in the effect it has on those who visit, whether through belief, atmosphere, or something still unknown. People leave feeling changed, and so the cathedral that was never finished continues to serve a purpose, not as a church of stone, but as a place of mystery, healing, and wonder, standing open to the sky, waiting for the next visitor to step inside its walls. Thanks for watching Forgotten Destinations, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It truly helps this channel grow. And tell me in the comments, what forgotten, haunted, or eerie place should we uncover next? I'll see you in the next video. And until then, stay curious, stay safe,